One of the questions I'm asked all the time whenever I appear with my books is, where do you get your ideas? And I usually give the same answer because the same answer is the truth, from life. And that's where the best ideas always come from life. But sometimes they come from real facts or from strange events that just make you wonder what made them happen. For a long time, I've wanted to write a spy novel. But to write a spy novel, you kind of have to pick the right elements, the right places, the time. Specifically, you have to find the right characters. And I want to write real and pretend it's faction. And so I went searching for, if I'm going to do a spy novel, where do I put it? And I thought I would start with the time when being a spy was really romantic, until it wasn't. In the early 1950s, as World War II was coming to an end, the major governments were starting to look around and say, human spies aren't always reliable. They get hungry, they get tired, sleepy. Sometimes they can be bribed. Sometimes they're not so loyal. Sometimes they're not really accurate. And they were starting to experiment with electronic surveillance, even better than human spies. And that was the turning point when the really good spies were beginning to say to themselves, what happens to me when they find a better way to do what I try to do? If you're a great spy, you know a lot. Too much to be able to say, I'll put you in a clerical job. I'll hide you away. You're going to get bored. You're going to make trouble for us. So we have to do one of a couple things. We have to kill you, hide your body, chop it into little pieces so nobody knows you were around. If you're the subject of their conversations, you start looking around. And I wanted at least one great spy who would see this before the others did. And I found Richard Sorge, who was Stalin's favorite spy. His parents were German, Russian. A brilliant spy. And they placed him in Japan, and his cover was he was a columnist. And he ingratiated himself with people who were in the Japanese embassy, the German embassy, the Russian embassy, and was able to send secrets back to Stalin. A real living spy. He was so good that he was able to walk into almost any room, and instantly people would ingratiate themselves to him, want to tell him everything about him, everything about themselves, and the secrets they had hidden from everybody else. That was Richard Sorge. I needed more than one spy, so I went looking in America, and we had a lady spy with one leg. She didn't lose it in the war. She lost it in an auto accident, Virginia Hall. But she was phenomenal. They sent her to France during World War II to join the French underground, and she was called by the Nazis their most dangerous Western spy. I then wanted a turncoat, and there was none better than Mathilde Carré, who was one of the people who helped form the French underground. And then when she was captured by the Germans, instantly gave them up to the Nazis and started working for them. And when the British found her out, instantly gave the Nazis up for the British. And when the Americans learned about Miss Carré, she gave the British up and instantly started working for the Yankees. So she was a triple turncoat. and very smart and very devious. She became my third spy. I needed somebody who was on the inside, who never naturally went to the battlefield, and I found Ian Fleming. We all know Ian Fleming for the James Bond novels, but before he was a novelist, before he wrote columns for the British newspapers, he was working for the Admiralty in Britain, and he planned many of the backroom schemes that helped find the Nazi war groups. But they were all facing one problem. What happens to the spies when the electronics come in? And I needed somebody with an electronic background. Well, we're talking about 1950s, when if you're as old as I am, you remember that a computer was in a room this size, and it needed to be air-cooled and on its own floor so that it shouldn't shake if a car comes by. And I kept thinking of my grandson, who was only 13 at the time, and he knew computers inside out at 13. And so I made the fifth member of Sorge's team a 13-year-old who was computer literate in 1951. And I chose 1951 because it was when the last treaty of World War II was actually signed, 6 years after the war officially ended. It didn't end until the last treaty was signed in San Francisco with the Japanese. And that became the basis for my newest book, which is The Last Spy Standing. I am so proud of this book. It does everything I have just said to you, but it takes them through 100,000 words, 50 years, until they come to today. The Last Spy Standing. It'll be on sale the end of August, but there are advanced copies that are available through my website, martinhermanauthor.com, at a slight discount if you take advantage of an advanced buy. You will not put this book down. That's not a threat, that's a promise.